Hey everybody, thanks for joining me again. I have yet another very interesting, very exciting speaker joining me. He's going to be on one of the panels for the DFW Growth Summit taking place February 22nd. His name is Eric Rice. He's the president of SOVRN Capital. I'm going to let him go ahead and give a quick interview, or I'm sorry, a quick introduction. Eric, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Very patriotic. Love this country. I love what we're doing in technology. A little bit about my background. I'm a serial entrepreneur and found my way into the Bitcoin space a few years back. And now we are using natural resources, flare gas, to mine Bitcoin all over the country. And we're kind of the gateway for private investors to get their hands into some of these private mining deals outside of the publicly traded companies.
Awesome, awesome. Well, I think we can get right to it. I'm sure folks want to hear from you and your insights. I know I definitely do. So,
Don't
okay.
tell that to my wife. So
Right, I know, right? Okay, so DFW is becoming a hub for blockchain and fintech. I think we all know this. What unique factors are driving this growth in the region?
I think a primary driver of the region is the natural migration that's happening. So we're getting a lot of brilliant people coming out of California and New York, and I know that here in Texas, the hesitancy when 2020 hit was that, oh, don't bring the liberals here. They're not coming here. You're getting conservative technologists that are coming here, people who want to have a better life, their kids to go to a decent school, and they're bringing the innovations that they've learned on the coasts, right here in Texas, where there's no state tax. So this is a great haven for technology people to come to. It's a booming city, beautiful city, a lot of great people here, good family values. So you're getting a lot of strong technology players coming here with a different vision than you'll find on the coasts.
Yeah, for sure. Mentioning the lack of a state tax, that's definitely one of those drivers. I would totally agree with you on that one, along with some of the headquarters that have moved here recently too. Uh,
Absolutely.
So blockchain's often called a disruptor. Are businesses in DFW prepared? Are they prepared to embrace the disruption, or are they at risk of being left behind?
There's different types of blockchains, right? So blockchain has its own ecosystem. There's highly centralized private ledger blockchains, which banks will probably use. It's just the way banks work. And then there's fully open sourced, high security, decentralized, Bitcoin type blockchains. So they all serve a different purpose. And I think where the areas of blockchain are really going to be applied, especially in DFWs and the manufacturing, inventory, and distribution centers. That's a really good model for them to be able to use blockchain. And blockchain by itself is designed to be an open sourced public ledger. It's being used privately and they're very centralized. So there's a lot of control over the movement of the blockchain. But the blockchain idea by itself builds transparency in the open market, right? So the private ones are going to be very closed up. But in the open market, building transparent information about your financials, your inventory, where the country is, voting systems. Blockchains have so many different applications in the world right now that it's always important for us to expand those and then come together as a technology community and see what types of blockchains we want to present to the world and let them decide. I think that's a really important thing.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And you think DFW is prepared?
I think DFW was prepared a couple of years ago. I actually think that there's so many brilliant people moving here of all spectrums. So you have like the younger folks who are really ambitious and creative and want to do things a different way. You've got the middle-aged people that just want to build good companies and do good things, raise their family. You've got the older people who can mentor.
Yeah.
So these are really big factors to look at in a community when you're talking about technology, because technology, I've been saying this in my podcast forever, technology is as useful and as pure as the hands that control it. And we're approaching AI. We have cryptocurrencies. We have all kinds of discrepancies, uses of blockchain and of technology. And I would prefer my technology to come out of a place where people have old-fashioned family values and want to build a better nation. Like that's just kind of the fundamentals around the DFW area.
Yep. Yeah. No, yeah. I can that definitely resonates. So does the rise of blockchain and fintech in DFW represent an opportunity to close financial gaps, or does it risk widening them?
Well, I think if you look at things from a macro perspective in a region, it has the ability to do both, right? So it could open up the door for companies to be more efficient, to offer new positions out and grow an economy. It could actually make companies overly efficient and reduce the employment rates and things like that. I think overall, technology by itself, innovation by itself, is always designed to expand the spectrum. It's always designed for us to be able to find a better path, a better way, more profitability, more efficiency, and more transparency. I think that's the model moving forward with this administration and everyone moving forward. The American people want to demand transparency from their governments. We need to provide it in private sectors as well. So I think that there is a very good possibility that this growth of technology in DFW is, I would say 95% this is good. There's a 5% chance it may contract the community, but overall it's a big expansion. A lot of jobs are moving here, a lot of banks, big companies, Elon Musk, Joe Rogan. I mean, everyone's moving to Texas and they're going to find their way into DFW. And I think the thing people overlook in the DFW area is that the film industry is moving here, which not everyone wants,
Is that
right? So I
right?
moved from LA. Not everybody wants that to happen, but it's going to happen. And the film industry is getting very heavy into AI, and they're getting very heavy into crypto for financing their films and shows. And there's a big opportunity in that space in DFW. A lot of people are overlooking.
That is very interesting. We'll have to explore that during the summit for sure. I did not know some of that, and that's exciting stuff. So, how do you explain blockchain? And I know this is loaded. I know you're the master, but how do you explain blockchain to the average consumer in a way that builds confidence rather than confusion?
So this is an area I'm much different. So I'm very adept in speaking to the normal person that doesn't have, a couple years background researching things. Blockchain technology is very similar to an assembly line in a factory. And so when we're looking at transactions in particular, you have a block, right? That block is filled with transactions. In Bitcoin, you mine for it, right? So I'm trying to guess that password and or the code or solve the algorithm, whichever way you want to look at it. But I'm trying to guess with high computing power. When I finally do, I have a box full of transactions, a block of transactions. Then what a miner or a validator would do is they would actually use the software, the system, to be able to say, okay, everything in here is correct, no counterfeit, no double spend. Send it off to a node for quality assurance. You have quality control and quality assurance on every single transaction that occurs on the blockchain, and it's recorded I can speak to Bitcoin in an immutable fashion. So not every blockchain is immutable. Fully decentralized, highly secured environments like Bitcoin, you have a full transparent record of everything that has ever happened on that blockchain that the entire public can see. And that transparency and that consistency offers the ability to constantly audit the system. Like Bitcoin is audited every 10 minutes. Validators validate constantly. And they're pretty much the same. I'm much more of an advocate of proof of work, if you can tell. But proof of stake, validator, miner kind of have the same job, sort of.
Yeah.
Validators don't provide any security. I mean, that's kind of the big difference between the two. But blockchains by themselves are just nothing more than quality control and quality assurance as transactions are recorded and sent off into the ledger.
Interesting. We'll definitely unpack that as well, I'm sure. Okay, so last question, or maybe last question, we'll see. You got a lot of interesting insights here. What role do regulations play in shaping the future of blockchain and fintech in DFW? Are they a catalyst or are they a hurdle?
Well, it depends your point of view, right? So I'm a Bitcoiner, so I see regulation as kind of the enemy and the ally at the same time.
Okay.
If you're in crypto, you see regulation as the enemy. Now, right now, there's a lot of excitement about, oh, we're going to have regulations. Be ready for them. They're going to be really strict. Like in much right now, there are no regulations on blockchain. And we talk about blockchain a lot. Blockchain can be used for multiple things. It's commonly used for cryptocurrency and Bitcoin. In that space, we absolutely need regulation. We have no idea what a security is defined as anymore. We have no idea if something is centralized or decentralized. So regulation as a whole in the entire industry, I think is going to be a very good thing to be able to separate. You really can't, there's a reason they say Bitcoin and altcoins. So we have to define what altcoins are. Bitcoin has been defined since 2014. So once we define what that is, I'm all for competition. I'm a Bitcoiner, but if you can create a competitive currency and people want to use it, it's up to them in the end. That's truly what we want. I mean, a free market involves free competition, and if there are really transparent, so you'll have decentralized cryptocurrencies, decentralized currencies, and you'll have centralized currencies, and people will have the ability to look and see which one they want to use. But regulation is coming, and we'll find out if it's good or bad. I think many businesses are going to go out of business, and I think other businesses are going to boom.
Yeah.
So it just depends on which actors are going to fall victim or fall into the line of regulation and the standards they give.
For sure. I think too at the time of this interview, regulation proposals, at least, have just started here in Texas since the legislative session just started, I think, last week. So hopefully we'll get some interesting updates and commentary insights by the time we actually reach the summit that'll take place a couple months after. But I think you definitely touched on some really interesting points. I mean, if you can't tell already, I'm really excited about this, and
Me too.
I
Be
know a
fun.
lot. Yes, I know a lot of the other speakers are too. So this is gonna be awesome. But any final insights or maybe anything you're looking forward to in particular at the summit? Anything you might leave us with before we close?
Yeah, I mean, number one, I'm always interested in meeting innovators, people with new ideas. We've been pretty dormant, in crypto for many years, right? We have some of these dinosaur, centralized currencies, and I'll call them that because that's what they are.
Yeah,
And we've had very few innovations. I think tokenization is a very important play moving forward. Larry Fink's talking about it. Everyone's talking about it.
yeah.
I think there's clarity needed. I think education is the biggest piece that's missing from crypto and from Bitcoin, to be honest with you.
I agree. I agree.
I think that once people understand how this stuff works, and then we can get to the point where we make it easier to use. So those are the two biggest hurdles that I see. Is I see the education of the general public. A lot of people are scared of crypto, and they should be scared of crypto because it hasn't been regulated. So you have, 3,000 pump and dumps, people lose their money, and it's a scary environment, so no one wants to touch it. And then you have some really good projects that are doing great that don't have much attention because everyone's scared of getting pumped and dumped. So I think that the regulation is a big topic we'll cover at the conference. I'm positive of that. The other thing I'm really excited about is the innovation and seeing what a lot of the blockchain builders and the crypto guys are doing to make an impact, right? So it's pretty obvious at this point that Bitcoin is the digital gold. It is the foundation, the oil system to provide energy to a new economy. Like it's pretty obvious at this point. But I also think it's important right now for regulations to come in and innovators to say, hey, listen, here's how I want to work with it. It's not going away, right? Bitcoin's 60+% of the market share and it's growing. So if we can figure out how to make Bitcoin itself can't solve the problems of the world. So I want to figure out interoperability. I want to be able to figure out what people are doing to connect chains and make it simple for the end user and for institutions that want to use it. I think that's probably the most important part of crypto and Bitcoin right now is that mass adoption, easy to use interface, and clarity of the regulation. I think those are really important.
I agree. I agree. I like it. I like it a lot. Um, Regulation definitely needs to come into play on this one. This is probably like the only time I would ever say something like that too.
Same.
I know,
Same.
right?
Yeah.
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 But I appreciate your time. I appreciate your insights. I'm looking forward to having you on this panel and at the event. And we're definitely going to be able to rub elbows with some of those innovators for sure. It's something I'm looking forward to for sure. So thank you, Eric. I do appreciate you again. Um,
Absolutely. Thanks,
and
James.
yes, and thanks for joining us. And everyone listening, you still have some time to get an early bird ticket and spend a little bit less on the ticket for the conference. It is taking place February 22nd to Saturday from 9 to 5 at the Toyota headquarters in Plano. You can visit my website for information and tickets at jamessackey.marketing, and we will see you there.